All right, join us if you're ready. And if you're not, you can still join us. This is Everything Good, and it was written by a former Walnut Creek music director, Kitty Benson.
All of my dreams and wishes are true. When I step back and let Spirit come through, everything good is already mine. When I open my eyes to the power divine, all of your dreams and wishes are true. When you step back and let Spirit come through, everything good is already yours. When you open your heart, you can open the doors. All of our dreams and wishes are true. When we step back and let Spirit come through, everything good is already ours. When we open our minds, we can open God's powers. All of my dreams and wishes are true. When I step back and let Spirit come through, everything good is already mine. When I open my eyes to the power divine, everything good is already mine. When I open my eyes to the power divine.
Bravo! You're in good voice. All right, now, officially, good morning and welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. It's going to be a beautiful, cloudy and sunny day today. We're so glad to see you. We're going to rise up singing, so if you join us in body or spirit. A song written by our own David Brooks on the piano. Here we go.
We're gonna rise up singing, bringing in the day. My feet are dancing in every way. You're invited to stay, to pray, to play. I am, you are, we are here today. Gonna rise up laughing, bringing in the day. My feet are dancing in every way. You're invited to stay, to pray, to play. I am, you are, we are here today. Gonna rise up loving,
Yeah.
bringing in the day. My feet are dancing in every way. You're invited to stay, to pray, to play. I am, you are, we are here today. Gonna rise up singing,
Yes, we are.
bringing in the day. My feet are dancing in every way. You're invited to stay, to pray, to play. I am, you are, we are here today. I am, you are, we are here.
Oh, yes, we are here. Oh, yes, we are. Good morning. Here we go.
Gets on.
Here we go.
I am on now. Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. What a great group you are this morning, and you're ready to rock it out, aren't you? Woo! I know it. I heard you guys. I heard you. And they are ready to rock as well. So you're here on the most perfect day. Whew. Ah, there's also folks at home that are here with us. So turn around and say, good morning. Good morning. We're glad to have you with us in spirit, even though it's not in physical. We acknowledge your presence, and we appreciate you being here with us. Thank you. Now, I encourage you to turn your cell phones off so it doesn't bother you or your neighbors or anybody else during the service, and we can enjoy this sacred time together. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. We have a mission at Unity, which is, in a loving community, we empower spiritual growth by modeling and teaching universal spiritual principles. We have a statement of faith that we say together every week. So would you affirm it with me now? There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Now, if you're here for the very first time, we'd like to acknowledge you. And if you're willing, would you please raise your hand, and our ushers will come forward with a packet of welcome information. So is there anybody here for the first time that would enjoy raising your hand? Was that welcoming enough? Now, it's okay if you didn't, because you can still go to the bookstore after the service and get that packet of information. And if you are here for the first time or you've been gone a long time and come back, welcome. We're glad to have you. In the seat pocket in front of you, there's a connection card for everyone to fill out and let us know that you're here today. If you have any questions or any concerns or anything you'd like the staff to know here, please use it for that purpose and put it in the offering basket at the end of the service. Now it's time to stand up and greet your neighbors. So shake a hand or give a Unity hug.
Find. Knock and the door shall be open. Ask and it shall be given, and the love come a trickling down. Do that again. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be open. Ask and it shall be given, and the love come a trickling down. Oh yes, Spirit is present. Oh yes, Spirit is present. Oh yes, Spirit is present, and the love come a trickling down. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be open. Ask and it shall be given, and the love come a trickling down. I see Spirit within you. I see the Spirit within you. I see the Spirit within you, and the love come a trickling down. Shall find. Knock and the door shall be open. Ask and it shall be given, and the love come a trickling down. And the love come a trickling down. And the love come a trickling down.
Indeed.
Now, I would like to point out to you that our song leaders this morning were Lisa and Tyler Snorden Phelps, and they are our musical directors. Good job, good job. And our special music today is being provided by a fairly new group, I understand. And they are called Outside the Lines. And I hear truly they do stay outside the lines. But I heard them earlier, and they got inside the lines this morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And they are being accompanied by David, Joey, and Dan. That's right. Now, I've got just a few announcements for you this morning. It's Birthday Sunday. Does anybody have a birthday in March? If you do, would you please stand so we can sing happy birthday to you? You just almost did that, didn't you? We love that, actually. So, I know he did. I know. They do say it's his birthday. Okay, but we got a big service today, so next time, okay? We'll just plan on it. Oh, would you like to have a better understanding of Unity's finances? I would. Sure. Good. Then join Carl Jansen today, our new treasurer, and a career CPA for the talk that's going to be called Unity's Finance 101. And most of us could use a Finance 101 class, couldn't we? Whether it's Unity or something else. However, I encourage you to be here at 1 o'clock today in room 3. Carl will give us an overview of the key information as we explore our income, expenses, and balance sheet reports. If you have questions about Unity's finances, Carl is the guy with the answers. Yes, they're here. Oh, Carl is here. Carl, stand up and say hello. Just in case somebody doesn't know. Congratulations, Carl. Thank you. No quizzes. Just info, right, Carl? Just info. Okay, and what a great way to connect with others at Unity is by coming to a fundraising play date. Come and join us on the patio and for a dancing party and with French wine tasting that are happening in March. So when you come out to the patio or to the bookstore, please come up and sign up for one of those. Our early spring classes are starting in 2 weeks. Yes. On Monday, join John Shin for creating harmony through sound, light, and crystals. And we know John has a few crystals, right? He actually has a whole house dedicated to crystals, and it is gorgeous. Yes. We'll learn how to use the combination of energies that can benefit our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. On Tuesdays, Jenny Landfield will teach us how one simple change can make life easy. We'll practice completely relaxing and enjoying short moments of open intelligence. This practice will enable us to tap into the divine inspiration, assurance, and ease. And on Thursdays, join Dimitri Dorkin for his class, Yes, I Can. Now, you've heard it probably said, yes, you can, but Dimitri is flipping that around and telling you to say, yes, I can. So he's going to have a whole lot of fabulous information and insights for you. Join us for that spiritual journey that can answer questions and inspiration for any desire, dream, or goal that you may have. Please check for these things and anything else on our bulletin or online. And now it's time for our meditation.
We begin our meditation with David Peterson, one of our prayer chaplains who's also a poet, and he has a poem to share with us, followed by some music and guided meditation.
This is called Where You Stand. Leave a mark. Separate the light and dark within. Rise from the comfort of your seat. Rise with integrity and intention. How do you show up in this terrarium called life? What power do you hold? Are you the light, or are you pleased as the plants? Are you delighted as the animals, or will you fly with the dove? Show your dependable potential. Become the guide to fulfillment. Become your abundance. Become what you stand for.
So we rest in that great I am. And welcome in both the light and the dark. Within us today, there may be thoughts or feelings that are not part of our ideal world. We welcome them. At the table of our hearts, there is love and joy, and there is shame and sadness. At any given moment, we may find ourselves in any place. And we are reminded that Spirit is infilling every crevice of every space. Every emotion and thought, every sensation of the body. And so where you may note that there is shadow or darkness, we simply look with the eyes of Spirit, the eyes of light, and illumine our whole beings we are whole and perfect, created in the image and the likeness of the Spirit that created all life. And that first idea that divine intelligence would come to be known through form, we were there. And here we are now, remembering and welcoming and accepting all of us, all aspects of our beings and all life. For that great I Am is just as much in the secreted places, the hiding places, the darker corners of our beings and our world, as it is in the bright light, the divine knowing. For it is all in truth, whole and well, as are we. So let us rest in the silence, knowing the wholeness of who we are. Letting the dark become illumined so that we may accept and welcome and even rejoice in the silence. And so as we have seen within with the spiritual eyes, the single eye, we look out onto the world now, to one another, to all life on the planet, to the planet itself. And see with that one light, that one eye of God, single eye that Jesus talked about. We see that all is perfect and whole and right and well. We call forth the very best in ourselves and all of life. In the dark, and with this light illuminating the dark. Thank you, God, for all that we are, emotional and spiritual, mental and physical. And so it is.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentations. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails the new creation. Above the tumult and the strife, I hear its music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest loudly roars? I hear the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me glows? Songs in the life it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm climbing. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble sick with fear, and hear their death knell ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? In prison cell and dungeon vile, Our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing? My life goes on in endless song above earth's lamentations. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails the new creation. Above the tumult and the strife, I hear its music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing?
Wow, beautiful. This has been an ever-changing, harmonious group, hasn't it? And it's always beautiful. One member in, one member out. Hello, everyone. Now, somebody in the first service said, with your sling and everything, I just expected you to start singing, I'm a Little Teapot. But I'm not short and stout, so that's not going to work. The reason why I'm wearing this, though, in case you're wondering, is so that I can remember that there is only so much love that I have to give, only so much talent or ability, I only have so much time, so much money, and it also helps me keep a lid on my joy. Because, you know, sometimes you meet people that aren't quite as joyful as us Unity folks, and, you know, somebody's feeling down or depressed, you know, misery loves company. Oh, I lost my lid. That's good news. So the thing is that this is a common way that we move through the world, right? We keep a lid on our abundance. So I may have a lot of money and think, oh, there are hungry people in the world, and somehow it's so nonsensical, but I can, out of my own guilt, then take a lower paying job in order to be with the peeps, right? But how does that help anyone? You know, so there's actually this, it doesn't make sense, yet these beliefs are these underpinning core ideas that kind of run the show. Anybody recognize that in their lives sometimes? And we recognize it because we do the shadow work that brings those shadows into the light. And this is our second in the Illumined Shadow series of 4 weeks where we're breaking out of the shadows various things. So this week it is lack, the shadow of lack. And there's actually a scientific experiment that helps us prove this belief system. There were a group of scientists that took a jar full of fleas, and the fleas would jump right out of the jar, you know, exuberant, abundant fleas, right? As you may have experienced them before on the family pet. And, and so they multiply, and they're everywhere. They seem to be extra blessed somehow and extra exuberant. And the scientists put a lid on the jar, and then the fleas would hit the top of the lid and fall back down, which probably didn't feel very good on their little flea heads. And so eventually the scientists took the lid off because the fleas had learned to jump only so high. And when they took the lid off, the fleas never jumped out of the jar again. Yeah, so pointed lesson, right, for us. That these ideas, the belief systems, that the lid that we put on things keeps us small, keeps us in lack and limitation and not enoughness. And the Cambridge Dictionary says this idea of putting a lid on something is defined as holding control over it, stopping it from increasing. So we wonder why there isn't the love we want in our life, or the financial freedom we want in our life, or it never seems like there's enough time, or whatever it is that we're dreaming of. And we might look, under the lid, into the dark pot, see what's going on in there, and see what it is that is tamping things down, is keeping us small. The Cambridge Dictionary also says keeping a lid on things is keeping things in secret, essentially, from one another. Well, that's not exactly how it says it, but so I'll tell you in case somebody looks it up. To make sure that people do not find out something. So keeping a lid on something is to try to make sure people don't find out something. And what is the greatest secret of all? Beneath the I'm not enough, what is that greater secret, that deeper secret, that thing we kind of don't want to reveal to ourselves or anyone else? It's our light, right? Our magnificence, our brilliance. Remember that quote by Marianne Williamson out of the Course, or inspired by the Course in Miracles? It is our light that we most fear, not so much our darkness. And that we serve no one by playing small. Yet we constantly teach our children and one another to keep a lid on it, to put a lid on it, to tamp it down, to control things, to stop things from increasing, right? So in some ways, somehow, we have all agreed to that, and so there is this sort of collective shadow process that needs to be unveiled. Lynn Twist is one of my favorite abundance teachers. She speaks of abundance in terms of sufficiency. And that's why I really like the twist, so to speak, on that. Her first book that, I think it might be her only one, The Soul of Money, is the one where I first heard these, what she called toxic scarcity myths. And essentially, we illumine or bring from the shadows into the light these ideas. In other words, into our conscious awareness, we bring forth these ideas of scarcity, these ideas of limitation that are toxic for us all, yet somehow collectively they kind of run through things. And so the work of the shadow is so important because it says, aha, there you are. It's like when you have some deep, dark secret and you tell your best friend and then it's out there and it's like, oh. Do you ever notice that? Like big exhale, that feeling? Like, wow, okay, now it's out there. Somebody knows. And then maybe somebody else knows. And pretty soon the sting is out of it. The shame is out of it. The guilt is out of it. And it just is what it is. An opportunity to learn, an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to transform, to decide what we want to do with that thing. So Lynn's 3 toxic scarcity myths that she outlines in this book, The Soul of Money, are there's not enough. We know that one well, right? That sort of describes lack in and of itself. And more is better, which is kind of a shade of there's not enough, but we know that in our culture, right? That there is this wheel of more is better. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. So when we live under these scarcity myths, this is sort of what it looks like to live in that realm. There's a slide or a slide. A slide or a slide. That's what it looks like, right, when we're living in scarcity. Because we get in that realm and that consciousness and that way of being, and then everything sort of feels like it's scary or it's almost like there's both spectrums, right? We're afraid of our failure and we're afraid of our success. We're afraid of the darkness and we're afraid of the light. We're afraid we're not enough and we're afraid we're too much, because we want to belong, because we want to have that sense of community. When I was doing some prosperity work years ago, it was a big aha to me to realize, because I was affirming I'm generous and wealthy. And the generosity was really what was allowing me to claim I'm wealthy. Because it was like, oh, okay, well, if I'm generous, then I can be wealthy, right? And so that was part of it, part of what got me to that place of being able to really claim this fully. But I realized there was something sticking there. And what was sticking there was a fear that if I become really wealthy, I mean, if this really happens, because this stuff works, right? When we work it works. So this really happens, if this really gets unveiled and I become really wealthy, who will my friends be? You know, my peeps aren't generally super wealthy, or hadn't been up until now, up until then. And so it was that fear of not belonging anymore. Where will I belong? And so we create these whole ideologies and belief systems, and then they get all connected to one another, and then it means our family, and it means our community, and it means our well-being, and wow, that's too much to give over, right? So there's all that kind of running in this process. So this is why this is so rich to cast some light so that we can go, oh, to lift up the lid and look in the pot and go, oh, that's what I'm keeping the lid on. That's pretty fantastic stuff that's cooking in there. I think I will take the lid off and might even try it, might even allow myself to become that which I really came here to be. So let's break down these myths a little bit. So there's this guy, he was praying to God, and he was having that kind of conversational prayer going on. And so he says, hey, God. God says, yes. He says, can I ask a question? God said, sure. And he says, how much is how much, oh, wait, I don't even have it with me. Okay, so I'll get it. How much is 1,000,000 years? And God says, to me, it's a second. And he says, thinks for a minute, how much is $1,000,000 then? To me, it's a penny, God says. Oh, hey, God, could I have a penny? And God says, sure, just wait a second. And there we are. Always in that game, right? The thing about there's not enough is that underneath it is the I am not enough, right? There's not enough and I'm not enough. And so then we bring, that's the piece that has that sort of the darker piece, the more shameful piece. But yet, what do we know in our teachings about the truth of who we are? We know that we were born of original virtue, right? That's something that Unity has been saying for some time. And you know who coined original blessing, that we are born of original blessing? Matthew Fox, who's coming here in a few weeks. Very exciting, right? March 24th, he'll be here for services and a workshop. And Matthew Fox and Unity have talked about this idea that we were born of original blessing or original virtue versus the old idea that we were born of original sin. And it turns the whole paradigm on its side, doesn't it? I mean, this is the kind of the key, the essence of all of this, is that remembering the truth of who we are and not fearing it, but allowing it to be, and maybe we just allow one light beam at a time to come through so that we can feel safe about that. Allowing ourselves to move at the pace in which the slowest part of us feels safe to go. You know, it's okay to do that because this more is better and faster. The second one, you know, kind of catches up with us and we must become faster and faster, right? We need to get enlightened or we need to you know, open up the way or we need to serve more or we need to, you know, whatever it is that is the more or better of chant of your life or of your world. We're all familiar with it, right? So that second one also gets us kind of in that frenzy. You know, Brene Brown talks about, she's a social researcher, I've talked about her before, and Brene says that we get in this mode of hustling for our worth. Anybody ever hustle for the worth? Yeah, so if I do more, or if I'm just a little better, if I just do a little more, if a little better, then I can, you know, deserve, or I can show my worth, or maybe I'll be worthy of more appreciation or recognition or love or whatever it is that we're craving. So we get on that circuit of more is better, but if we just illuminate it for a moment, pause for a moment, look at it, and realize, not necessarily, right? More is not necessarily better. This week I was introduced to, it's called, boy, I'm having moments here, so thanks for being with me. KonMari. And it's a Japanese method. And there's a woman named Marie Kondo who practices it, and apparently she's got all kinds of programs out. This is all news to me. You're all nodding. Last one on the block to know. So she does this thing called tidying up. So anyway, I learned all this from the women who go to Qigong during the week, and then they came to our noon meditation, and we were chatting afterwards. So it was this lovely awakening. So I started watching some of this idea, which is fabulous. And so the basic idea is the process of decluttering stuff, right? But there's a deeper thing to it, because what she does is she says, ask each, pick up everything that you have when you use it with reverence and ask, does this spark joy? And if it doesn't spark joy, then it's not for you anymore. Now, here's where we get into a little bit of the quandary of more is better in our collective. If you throw it away, where is away? That's what Julia Butterfly Hill, the environmentalist, said. So I'm beginning to wonder if maybe, we could just do this on our own. We could choose on our own, because it's not just the way it is, right? That myth, it's just the way it is. Well, we know the truth underneath that is we do have the power to make change, and we do have the power to make choices. And so it isn't just the way it is that we need to be consumers who throw things away, who fill landfills and seas. It doesn't have to be that way. Up until now, it has been the trend. But it doesn't have to be that way, because we can make different choices. Because we do have the power, and it isn't just the way it is, it's the way it was. It was the way it was until we shone a light on the shadow that made us realize that sufficient abundance is sufficient. More is not necessarily better in terms of stuff, right? So if you have doubted for any moment that you don't have enough, I want to challenge you to go home and open up your closet, or a drawer, or the garage, or a shed, or the kitchen cabinet, or the junk drawer, best of all. And look at how much you have. That is just a physical representation of the infinite gifts that you have. And when you do, as Marie Kondo is suggesting, clear some of that stuff out, you clear the way for spirit to move in your life. You open up the pathways of abundance. So what I was getting at before is I wonder if we don't wake up to the shadow that has now been, has been illumined for us for some time now, and begin to do something different with it, maybe we'll have to at some point make a law of the land that we no longer make anything. Like, we can't manufacture anything with the Earth's resources anymore. Done, right? So if we just said, okay, done, we're done making, we're done creating, what we can do, though, is we can recreate. We can take what is here and we can recycle, reuse, remake, recreate from those materials. We'd have more than enough forever, right? Because we already have more than enough. We already know that we already have more than enough. And so if we just challenged ourselves individually to begin to do that, or where we purchase things with that complete alignment with our values, So I'm only going to do this with whatever, this artisan, or, how this, knowing how this was made and how it, whatever it is, it's your game. It's your, work with these shadows in your own way. But how we choose then, instead of this is just how it is, that's the way it is. This is how it is now for me as a divine being. This is how it is for me who understands the sufficiency of great abundance, who understands what it's like to be enough, because that's really what it's all about. That I am enough. I'm enough. Not even, I was tempted just to say more than enough. I'm not even going there. I'm enough. Right? It's a complete sentence, right? It feels really whole and complete, doesn't it? And it reminds me of Daniel Nahmad's song, if this is the last song, what if this is it? What if it's enough? What if there isn't anything more to do or to chase, but just to be with what is? And then when we do, we begin to do like Marie Kondo, just to see how sacred everything is. Like then you pick up a piece of paper and you realize you're holding a tree. It comes to that kind of consciousness when we slow it down a little bit. And that's really abundance. That's abundance. Because it's that deep reverence that brings up that overflowing gratitude. And where else would we want to dwell but there, right? It's a beautiful thing to become aware of that which is holding us back from the truth of who we are. So there's two key unity principles and practices that I think are really useful for us to apply in this idea of moving, illuminating lack, and moving to full abundance. And they're simple practices. You've heard about them all of your spiritual life, which is all of your life. And probably all the time you've been in New Thought and before that, other places and other churches or other communities. One is the key practice that we hold in Unity, part of our fourth principle, which is meditation. Now, I know you're all kind of going, oh, yeah, that one. No, you're not all doing that. Some of you might be doing that. and so it's not about, oh, I should be doing that, or I need to be doing that, or I never have enough time for that. This is all it takes. This is meditation. Wow. I feel a lot more expanded, centered, open, ready. That's all it takes. Didn't take a lot of time, did it? So it is in that place, that kind of practice, that kind of moving into the spirit that we are, that everything expands. This is like a really cool thing about meditation is a lot of times people don't do it because they don't think they have enough time, but when you do it, you realize you actually make time. It creates time. Now, the whole thing of time is just a man-made concept, of course, but it creates time by moving us into that expanded space. And we are so much, not only more efficient, but more effective when we practice like that periodically. So even if you say, well, I don't have a practice or I've fallen away from my practice, could you take up the 1 minute a day practice? If we all took up the 1 minute a day practice, or if you've already got a practice and you added 1 minute to your day perhaps, or you do something to shift it a little bit, it doesn't have to be added, there's a sense of that infinite abundance that opens up for us. It opens up the mind. And besides all the benefits of peace and clarity and insight and guidance that it offers us, it also opens up this idea that there's not enough time and shifts us into the abundance, infinite space and time. The second practice is tithing. Okay, I'm making everybody kind of suck their breath in today a little bit. Maybe, some of you, again. So tithing is giving 10% of your income to where you are spiritually fed. It's an ancient practice, an ancient law. In fact, out of Malachi comes this charge where in the words of God, it says, bring the whole tithe into the storehouse and put me to the test, says the Lord, and see if I will not open up the windows of heaven and pour out for you an overflowing blessing. Put it to the test. Give it a try, it says. Just open it up. And so what's this idea behind it? The idea behind it is that as we receive, we give to where we are spiritually fed, because we are demonstrating this very practical way that my spirituality matters to me most. That my spiritual growth, that the divine in me, the God, the Spirit, that whatever you call it, the great I am, the great Spirit, whatever that is for you, that matters to you more than anything, because you have come to understand that when you ground yourself there, when you prioritize there, when that becomes the most important thing in your life, everything else flows from there. Everything else clicks from there, right? Anybody found that to be true when you prioritize in that way? So that's what tithing is about. It's like taking something practical and tangible, and I know money's got like all kinds of crazy energies that it's been put in. Talk about shadow. We could talk about that all day, right? How we have created shadows with money. But what is money? It's just well, literally it's just paper and coins, but spiritually it's energy. It's just a tool. It's energy. So it's a challenge to ask ourselves, how will I prioritize my energy? Where do I want to invest my energy? So we're really saying, how do I want to invest my energy, and how do I want to use my time? And I want those things to match up with the things that matter most to me. And so if we just use those two practices, we will create more of what we want, more of the time to do the things we want, and more of the money, the resources that we want to do and be the things that we want to do and be. I told some of you this story that when I went to Silent Unity, I actually applied to ministerial school, and they sent me a no thank you letter the first time. And that wasn't the reply I wanted, but it was okay because I totally understood. I was really pretty green and new to it all, and I had been a YOU sponsor and taught a class, I think, but I hadn't had a lot of experience, or not a very long-term experience, at my Unity church. And so they were basically saying, we want you to have more experience, more volunteering, more leadership, so on. So, I could have really dwelled in, I'm not enough, or this isn't enough, but I kind of just took it to, okay, so what now? Because I really feel guided to Kansas City, and I was living in Chicago. But I realized that really what I was feeling guided to was Silent Unity. Like the idea of going and praying with people all day and really learning to pray and really grounding myself in that kind of energy, that was really lighting my fire. So I went ahead and went. I quit my job and went. And then I was having the, oh, what have I just done moment. Anybody ever do that? Now here I am. I'm on Kansas City soil. I've got this little apartment, and I've said yes to this, hourly job, and I'm living here, not knowing anybody, and I'm walking my new puppy, Hazel the Hairy Mystic. And I'm thinking about this in a there's not enough way, right? I'm not going to have enough money. I mean, I've gone from this big, I've taken a big shift, a literal physical pay cut. And how's it going to work out for me, And so what have I done? And then I see this shiny object, and I go and pick it up, and on one side it has a picture of an eagle, and it says freedom. Oh, wow, well that was interesting, like freedom, just manna from heaven. But the best part was the other side. When I turned the coin over, it said no cash value. So, sometimes we really get those signs at the right time and the right place. And sometimes we really need more of the physical experience, that kind of tangible sign. And I could really use that at that time. So I really I probably still have that. I don't even know if I still have it, because that's the thing, right? I haven't done the tidying up that Marie Kondo is suggesting. Because if we did, we'd know what we have, right? And I would actually keep it because it sparks joy for me, because it reminds me of the truth of who I am, and to say yes over and over again to those little spiritual nudges that we get along the way, because that is living abundance. I never felt more prosperous than when I worked at Silent Unity. Well, I'm going to keep feeling more prosperous. But up until then, I hadn't felt that prosperous. And it really surprised me when I'd get my small paycheck, and that had nothing to do with it. Had nothing to do with it. It was the joy and the service and the prayerful energy and the idea of working at Silent Unity. It was a really big deal to me. Like it was the mothership, right? I got to be in the mothership where Myrtle Fillmore started the heart and soul of our ministry, this affirmative prayer, and be steeped in that and hear that cadence of prayer all day long. I loved that. And so I felt so prosperous in every way. And so that's really what we're after, is that feeling, right? The energy, the feeling, the juice that reminds us of who we are. And we know that we are in the right place at the right time, doing exactly what we've come to be and to do. And if things feel a little off, then we just go, hey, what's that lid? What's going on in there? Oh, and then we realize there might be something in there that's of interest to us. And so I want to invite a volunteer forward who might want to see what's of interest in the pot and who might be, willing just to play a little bit with abundance. Come on, Laura. Are you ready to take the lid off your abundance? Yeah? Come stand in the middle. Okay, this is it. You're taking the lid off. Lack and limitation is going to move away. And what's inside? Would you like that? Just a symbol of your wealth and abundance.
This is so funny because I have a thing with $100 like increments over the last couple of days. So it's really
wow. For you online, she said she has a thing about $100 increments that keep coming to her in the last few days. So right on time. Wait, there's more. There's more. So I'm going to invite you to tithe on your $100. So that would mean giving $10 away to where you're spiritually fed, giving very consciously to a place or person with whom you feel spiritually fed by. Okay? And then, there's more. The remainder, the 90, I really want to ask you to be very conscious about that. Like, whatever you choose is fine. Whether you choose to share it or bank it or store it in some way or give it away or invest it in something you really care about, just to be really conscious about it. And then if you'll email me sometime this week and let me know how it's going for you, like any abundance ahas or lack ahas or whatever. And then finally, I would appreciate it if I need a microphone for Laura so that people online can hear her. You're a brave soul. Thank you for coming up not knowing what you were getting into. So I don't know if you realize, but there is an affirmation on that bill, and I wondered if you would read it to everybody. It's on every American bill. I think it's on the other side, on the bottom, or on the top.
in God we trust.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. So we take that prayer with us. Every time we give or receive cash, you can do it with checks, you can do it with electronic transfers. Put in your memo line on your electronic transfer or on your check, in God we trust, or God is my source, or thank you, God, for this gift. And we bring that consciousness into the world, the blessing and the multiplying of our good that we affirm every week. Thank you. Yeah, look forward to seeing what happens. So are the rest of you ready to take the lid off? Let's take the lid off this lack and limitation. Let's throw that off and allow ourselves to be the super fleas we've come here to be. Let's speak this together. Let's speak our knowing together. I'm taking the lid off my abundant self. I have enough. I am enough. I am free. And so it is.
Thank you, Kristen, for the reminder that we are enough, that we are abundant, and that tithing is our nature. Giving back to where we're spiritually fed is actually our nature. So thank you for reminding us of that today. Our prayer chaplains are here. And if you're a prayer chaplain today, would you please stand up? Garrett, I see you're wearing your lavender stole. So we have 2 of our prayer chaplains here today, and there might be another one pop in a minute. You just never know. So if you would find it helpful to pray with one of our prayer chaplains for a concern or a joy in your life, please seek one of them out. There's nothing any more special than praying with one of our beautiful chaplains. Thank you. Now it's time for our prosperity celebration. And Kristen has just reminded us that there is no lack, there's no limitation, and abundance is already our true nature. For your convenience, there's a variety of ways to give to our community. For credit card donations, you can use PushPay on your phone or take an envelope from the clipboard in front of you that's in the back of each chair. And of course, guys, at home, we don't forget about you. So you can use PushPay or click on the donate button on the Watch Live page. I invite you to take your tithes and your love offering in your hand and affirm with me our blessing. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful.
Okay, put yourselves back in the 1940s before TV.
Seriously. Come and listen in to the radio station where the mighty hosts of heaven sing. Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
If you want to feel those good vibrations coming from the joy that love can bring, get in touch with God. Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on and listen to the music in the air. Turn your radio on and glory share.
And glory share.
Turn your lights down low and listen to the Spirit's radio. Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Don't you know that everybody is a radio receiver? All you have to do is listen for the call. Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
If you listen in, you'll be a believer, leaning on the truth that will never fall. Get in touch with God.
Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on and listen to the music in the air.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on
And glory share.
And glory share.
turn your lights down low and listen to the Spirit's radio.
Get in touch with God.
Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Okay, sing along.
Come and listen in to a radio station where the mighty hosts of heaven sing.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
If you want to feel those good vibrations coming from the joy that love can bring,
Get in touch with God.
Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on. Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on and listen to the music in the air.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on
glory share.
and glory share.
radio on.
Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
And listen to the music in the air. Turn your radio on.
Turn your radio on.
And glory share.
Glory share.
Turn your lights down low.
Turn your lights down low and listen to the Spirit's radio.
Get in touch with God.
Get in touch with God.
Turn your radio on. Turn your radio on.
Wow, that was so fun. And I want to acknowledge our new bass player, Joey. Thank you for joining the band. Come on up. Let's bless our goodness here. With so much gratitude for the joy in this room, for the joy that we are, for the ease with which we give and receive, always, always, always in the flow when we remember who we are. And should we ever forget, we just take that one breath and remember again. Thank you, God. I am enough. I have enough. And I share with ease and with grace. I am joy-filled and grateful. Let's bless this together. We give thanks for the ever-increasing, unceasing flow of absolute good in our lives now. So it is. We are marching in the light of God. Marching in the light of God. We are marching in the light of God. We are marching, marching, we are marching, marching, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching, marching, we are marching, marching, we are marching in the light of God.
Morning.
Good morning.
So first, I'd just like to thank Chris, who is with our older kids today. Yay. And we're still working on the 5 basic principles of unity, and we're on number 3 today, which is I create my reality. Yeah. Why am I wearing this apron?
Because we created Play-Doh.
We manifested Play-Doh today. How do we manifest? What's the first thing that we do?
See? Ask.
Who do we ask?
God. Mother, Father, God.
And then what do we do?
See.
We see it, right? We see it. And then what's the other thing that we do to manifest? Feel it?
Feel.
We feel it, and then we receive it, right? Woo! Yeah. And then once we made our Play-Doh, we did some more manifesting. We manifested the beach. We manifested books.
Snowman.
And a snow. What? Say it again.
Snowman.
Yeah, and a snowman. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. YOU, do you want to share anything? Any existential questions that you explored today?
We talked about places where we've had spiritual journeys. So we looked back on some of our previous Unity trips and kids camp and stuff like that. So.
Nice. All right. Well, let's bless our youth, our teachers, and our children. Children, youth, and teachers, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you. I invite you now, if you'd like to take your neighbor's hand as we close out with a prayer of protection and the peace song. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. You are the light and the love and the peace on earth right now. So let your light shine and have fun.